So good morning, ladies and gentlemen, friends, students, colleagues, whether you are undergraduate or postgraduate student, and it's welcoming you to this important and special webinar around showcasing waste to energy solutions around the circular water economy for Africa. It's under the ACTUATE project of the Global Challenges Research Fund. Now, I've been with you guys in the WhatsApp group for the last 2 weeks, and I've been pretty impressed with your engagement. I've been pretty impressed with your contributions. So as part of this program, fundamentally, we are hoping we can maybe take it up a notch and get to meet some specialists and experts in the subject matter you've been learning about for the last 2 weeks. I remember the very first day we began the session, I asked everyone a question. I said, how many of you have heard of the term circular economy or circular water economy? And the responses shows that less than 5% of you in the room had heard of the term. Now that's fine. The idea is we're hoping that at the end of 1 month, everybody in that room would know exactly what it means when you hear the term circular economy or circular water economy. Now, the experts today will be speaking about this in more substantial terms. I also enjoyed very much your contributions to the agenda around sustainable development, especially with respect to the UN Sustainable Development Goals, SDGs, and how everyone was able to itemize in specific details the 2 top SDGs that they think their careers would be built around. Interestingly, even though the subject matter of discussion is around bioenergy, circular economy, what was very interesting was the fact that all the 17 SDGs was fully covered in the room. I found that very, very fascinating. Now, just a few house rules. So please, when you join the call, mute your microphone and mute your audio, and be sure you off your video, just to make it easy for us to flow smoothly. Okay, I'll give a bit of a background as to today's seminar. So fundamentally, everyone knows that the population of sub-Saharan Africa is approximately about 1 billion, and obviously there's an annual 2 to 4% increase per year, with an estimation for it to be doubled by 2050. And more than 40% of population in Africa live in extreme poverty. That's fundamentally about $1 to $2 a day expenditure. Now, for the past 25 years, Africa's experienced increase in rural to urban migration, and ultimately there's been increase in land use and an increase in availability, or if you like, the need for availability of energy. Energy generation continues to be a problem across the board, especially in Africa, and many people live beyond the energy line. I think the idea is, what other ways could we explore Africa's natural resources, and in this case, waste, for increased energy? Now, I won't speak about this because the experts would. Now, Africa rapidly increases youth population is projected to be hit about 830 million by 2050. And data shows that the population of less than 25 years of age by 2046, there's booming higher education demands, there's increased enrollment numbers. And as things progress, the issue is the fact that it's impacting on the employability or the employment rate of African youths. I think currently about half of the 420 million young people in Africa are either unemployed or vulnerably employed, as according to the African Development Bank. Now, the idea is, how could you tackle the issue of energy, the issue of waste, while still providing education, targeting the issue of unemployment, all at the same time? It sounds very tricky. So Lancaster University's project called Recirculate, which the professor will be talking about shortly, has attempted to try and tackle these issues in a very strategic level. Now, but many lessons has been learned. Now, we've been engaging with lecturers, academics, professionals for the last 4 to 5 years. And it makes sense to us to engage with students at this point, because as we move towards the point of legacy and for sustainability, it's important to actually engage with students. Okay, and we're hoping that this 1 month program would expose and expand your mind with respect to the opportunities and career leverages around the circular economy sector, but with specific reference to bioenergy. And the theme or the objective basically of the webinar is, or rather of the webinar and the program entirety, is to showcase what ACTUATE has done as a project from a student's perspective, to expose students to fundamentals of circular economy, to expose students to challenges and opportunities in the bioenergy space, and hopefully would be focusing a bit on a case study of an actual student who became a professional and became an entrepreneur and set up her own business in bioenergy, and she's doing incredibly. And ultimately to provide a platform for some networking and navigations and connections on the program. Okay. So on that note, it gives me absolute pleasure to give an introduction to the project in entirety, the Director of International Engagement of Lancaster University, who is also the Director of the Recirculate and Actuate project, a Professor of Environmental Microbiology with over 30 years experience in research, academia and industry, but working substantially in Africa across different partnerships. Absolute pleasure to give his talk an introduction, Professor Kek Semple, my very good friend. Over to you, Prof.
Thanks very much, Akan, and good morning, good afternoon, everyone on the call. It's a real pleasure to see so many of you young, bright minds joining us on this webinar. So yeah, thanks very much for the very kind introduction there, Akan, and if you permit me, I will share my screen now. So Akan, can you see that?
Yes, I can. Okay,
so yes, so good morning, everyone. And my job here today is just to give you an introduction to the projects that we're discussing. And so, yeah, what we're going to do is we're going to talk about the evolution of the ACTUATE project and what it actually means. So if you just bear with me for a few minutes just to explain the background. So I'm sure many of you are aware that waste is a massive problem globally. It's a massive problem in countries in sub-Saharan Africa. Typically, we see waste as being valueless, so we throw it away, of course. And to give you an idea, over 60 million tons of waste, solid waste, is produced per year. And Ghana, for example, produces around 12,000 tons of waste per day. Now, a good chunk of that waste, up to 70% of that solid waste, is actually composed of organic matter. And that organic matter can be broken down, decomposed in the environment to produce carbon dioxide and methane. And we know that that's a problem because those are greenhouse gases contributing to climate change. But as a rule, most of this waste ends up in landfill, open dumps. It's dumped into the environment, leading to the contamination of water supply, which leads to environmental health issues, but also, more importantly, problems with human health. So, for example, thousands of children per year are becoming very ill or dying because of contaminated water supply. So what we really need to think about is how we can supply clean and sustainable water, energy and food while managing our waste effectively through circular economy. So what is the circular economy, and particularly wastewater, energy, food nexus? Well, simply, it's about managing waste out of a system. Okay, so that you do that by either reducing the waste, reusing the waste, recycling, or repairing or refurbishing. And through the projects that I'm going to talk about, we look to support new partnership-based approaches to enable researchers and other stakeholders to grow transformational impact through working with and for their communities in the circular economy environment. And one of the approaches that we use here is eco-innovation. And that's simply to develop new products, processes and interventions and services that benefit not only society, but the environment. Now, at the heart of this is collaboration. And we're not just talking about collaboration within the university sector, we're actually talking about multi-sectoral collaboration. So universities and research institutes looking to collaborate with industry and the private sector, government and policy, and of course civil society and the communities that would benefit from their activities. And to me, what's very, very important is that these partnerships, these collaborations are equitable, and that they are based upon the principles of co-design, co-development and co-delivery. So what does it look like? Quite simply, in this context, here we have waste. It may be coming from the household, domestic waste. It may be coming from industrial processes. It may be coming from human waste itself. That is collected from the communities that it's being produced in. So we're removing that hazard from the local environment. We then take that and we use it as feedstocks in anaerobic digestion or other bioenergy technologies to produce energy. And in the case of anaerobic digestion, that is biogas. Now, biogas is combustible, so it can be converted, obviously, to heat, but it can also be converted to electricity for a multiplicity of uses. But as with any process, it produces waste in its own right, and that waste is called anaerobic digestate. And we know that anaerobic digestate is extremely nutritious. It contains lots of nitrogen and phosphorus and can be used as a sustainable alternative to conventional inorganic nitrogen and phosphorus-based fertilizers. It also introduces resilient carbon into the soil, which improves soil quality as well. Now, from there, of course, we can actually use that in agriculture to produce food. But as with everything, agriculture itself produces waste. Oh, gone the wrong way. And we can feed that waste back into the virtuous circular economy that I've just described. So from this concept and working with partners, we were able to gain funding from the Global Challenges Research Fund to support partnership through the Recirculate project. Recirculate's an acronym for Driving Eco-Innovation in Africa, Capacity Building for a Safe Circular Water Economy. And what it did was to bring together a number of partners in West Africa, East Africa and Southern Africa to address this significant challenge. And of course, from that, all that science and technology, we think about impact. Now, impact in this case is not about a fantastic publication in a high-ranking journal or being invited to give your presentation at a high value or internationally renowned conference series. This is about actually what we can do from our research to deliver benefits to society and the environment. And one way that we can do this is through the delivery of demonstration systems to show people that it actually works. So we were able to gain some more funding, about £700,000, through the Global Research Translation Award to fund a project entitled Accelerating the Adoption of Circular Sanitation Demonstration Systems for Improved Health Outcomes. Now, this was a multidisciplinary, multi-sectoral international collaboration from colleagues from Lancaster University, right across the university, the different faculties, from colleagues in Ghana, so CSIR, it's Umar bin Khattab Islamic School in Accra, the Hattoff Foundation, Green Advocacy, and Sewage Systems Ghana Limited, and in Nigeria, the University of Benin, Centre for Global Eco-Innovation Nigeria, the National Centre for Energy and Environment, and the Nigerian Environmental Society. So real multidisciplinary, multi-sectoral engagement. And really, what the objective was to build two anaerobic digester demonstrators, which we could use as an educational tool, as a way of showing communities and other stakeholders that that we could actually make a difference through this virtuous circular economy. So we're looking at how we can develop solutions to waste management, to improve health within communities, to produce energy and support food security. But at the heart of this is education, educating students at schools, students in universities, and encouraging them to understand and embrace the circular economy. And from that, we hope to actually develop new business opportunities that will take these projects through to reality and to continuity into the future, and can actually be used for the benefits of communities. So the two digesters, one was built in Ghana at a school, as I've already mentioned. The other one was built at the University of Benin in Benin City. And I'm not going to say very much about these because there are people on the call who will talk about this in much more detail, but these were of different sizes. The one at the school was actually quite small, and the one at the University of Benin was about, 30 times larger, between 15 and 30 times larger. But another important element of this project is how we engage with the students, the school teachers, their communities, by holding a series of workshops and engagement activities, but also how we engage with people who might benefit from this in reality. So an example here are smallholder farmers who would be looking to use the fertilizer that's coming from the digester to support plant growth and food production. So ultimately, we're working with communities through this project. We're working with schools, we're working with universities, we're working with research institutes, NGOs, SMEs, policymakers to focus on the delivery of the circular economy and the positive impacts on society through health and the environment. And also to think about how we can develop more safer and sustainable working practices in this space. But of course, as I mentioned before, there's also the investment, the commercialization, the entrepreneurial opportunities that exist for those that are willing to engage to support the development of robust, reliable, fit-for-purpose technologies that will work for the communities. And also to think about how we can train people. That might be people in the communities, it might be the people who want to provide various elements to the different components within the waste, energy, food, circular economy. So I'd just like to finish there by acknowledging all of the partners that have been involved in this journey over the last 4.5 years. And on that note, if you're interested in exploring more about this, there's the Recirculate and Actuate websites where there's lots and lots of information. And with that, I'll thank you for your attention and hand back to Akan. So back to you, Akan. Thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you so very much, Professor Keck-Semple. So for those who just joined us, when you join us, please could you mute your microphones or audio and off your video, please. So if you just joined us, please mute your microphones, mute your audios, and off your videos, just for a better flow. So thank you, that's fantastic. So thanks, Keck. So I think if you have any questions in the room, please don't wait until the end. Just drop the question as a text in the chat section of the Zoom call. Very, very important. If you've got any questions bothering you as a result of what you're hearing from the speakers, please leave it as a chat or as a text in the chat section of the call. Now, at the end of this call, like I informed you on the WhatsApp group for this program, there would be a link given to everybody on this call that you're going to fill, and this is very important, especially for those who want to receive a certificate of participation or completion at the end of the 1 month program. This webinar, like I informed you, is a fundamental part of the program. And so at the end of the call, there will be a link everybody will require to fill and input their names as you would want it to appear on your certificate. Very, very vital. Okay, so without much further ado, I want to have the absolute pleasure to give us a few words in terms of her perspectives on the circular economy, but the relationship to her working in Nigeria. It's none other but the Executive Director of the Circular Economy Innovation Partnership, Natalie Bernesk. Now, she will give us a sense, because obviously, I mean, it's an absolute pleasure to even have her to speak to us as students looking for a career and opportunities in this circular economy space. And so I think Natalie's got some interesting insights she wants to share with us. Natalie, you on the call?
Hi, I'm here.
Fantastic. Over to you, Natalie. Just give us a few words, because I think it's just to encourage a student. It's a very exciting and interesting space in the era we now live. Over to you.
Absolutely. I think maybe just to introduce myself quickly. My name is Natalie Bernesk, and I run the Circular Economy Innovation Partnership, and we're focused on research, advocacy, and program facilitation. That's all to do with identifying and supporting and promoting circular business and investment opportunities in Lagos and in Nigeria. Within the Nigerian or Lagosian context, at least, we've worked with Lagos State to establish Circular Lagos, which is a platform really made up of all kinds of stakeholders, the ones that Kirk has referenced, but especially also corporates, state organizations, and so forth, really to promote these kinds of business opportunities. And I think Kirk has really made clear in his presentation how bioeconomy and anaerobic digestion is a clear opportunity here. Biogas is a clear circular opportunity, and from a business standpoint. So we really want to offer resources to young entrepreneurs to start looking into these, into how you set up a business model, whether it's from a community standpoint or an even larger institutional standpoint. And we really encourage you to join. We have an innovation challenge coming up soon on this topic. Or on a related topic, and we are working on setting up what's called a circular business platform, again, to start identifying and promoting these opportunities. And there's no idea that's too small. You have to start from somewhere. So if you see something at a community level that has the potential to be turned into a business model, we really want to hear from you. There's resources that are out there to start exploring this. And so please do visit www.circularlagos.com. We're here to help you, and that are not from Lagos State. Innovation are also priority at the regional level too. So please get in touch if you're interested. We want to help.
Thank you so much, Natalie. Absolutely fantastic. So, by the way, students on the program, just bear in mind that once the opportunity comes up, you would all be on, so you can begin to apply. So please remember to mute your audio and put off your video as you join the call. Thanks, Natalie. That was absolutely fantastic. Short and punchy. The importance of the circular economy space as far as Africa is concerned cannot be overemphasized. And so what I want to do next is actually maybe bring it home a bit. So because you're probably wondering, well, it just sounds very exoteric and sounds very superficial. No, it's not. So I have the absolute pleasure to introduce you to a young female African entrepreneur who has gone all out and set up a waste to energy, circular economy, bioenergy company. And she's doing incredible work. I mean, absolutely fascinating stuff in this space. So my point is there is an opportunity in this space. So it's best we hear from somebody who has lived it, somebody who has done it, somebody who understands what it takes, somebody who was a student like you, but went out of her circle and set up and put herself in a place of authority and control to drive her own career and her own space. And it's absolutely pleasure to introduce you to Miss Nina Ani, the CEO of Avenam Limited. And she has a video presentation to give a feel as to what she's been up to in this space.
Can everybody see the video? I've shared my screen.
Yes, we can see.
Excellent.
Can see it, yes.
Okay.
Hello everyone, Nina Ani, CEO Avenam Links International Limited. I want to say a big thank you to African Union Scientific Technical Research Commission and ACAM for this opportunity to showcase our waste management and bioenergy case study here in Nigeria. Avenam Links is a limited liability company registered in 2008 to promote renewable energy technology in Nigeria. We have built over 25 biogas plant for different clients here in Nigeria. We're here to bridge the gap between design, construction, operation and maintenance of various renewable energy technology with a focus on biogas, solar and biomass, promotion of energy efficiency in Nigeria and Africa at large. Avenam is a proud winner of National Energy Globe Award Nigeria 2017 with a project we did for a poultry farmer who had 20,000 birds. He had challenge managing his poultry waste that comes out daily from the farm and also spent a lot on buying petrol for his generator. So with the implementation of that project, he could manage his poultry waste daily and generate biogas, produce biogas to run his biogas generator every day. And the liquid organic fertilizer was used for his crop farm, still used for his crop farm daily. Our vision is to be the most preferred energy and waste management solution provider in Africa and a leading contributor to the protection of the environment in an economically sustainable manner. Our mission is to provide renewable, biodegradable energy and waste management solution for a greener, healthier, and wealthier Africa through utilization of locally available material and resources. I'm not going to dwell so much on the biogas technology because I know we'll spend the money section talking so much about it. But I'll just like us to look at the biogas principle, the summary of it, from waste to revenue. An anaerobic digestion principle involves the use of any biodegradable material where you create an airtight environment and the naturally occurring microbes, digest, feed on this organic waste to produce, by digesting them, to produce raw biogas and digest it. The raw biogas can be used for electricity generation. It can be upgraded and used as vehicular fuel. It can also be used for heat generation as well. The digestate can be separated, the solids can be bagged and sold as solid organic fertilizer and liquid applied on the farm. The revenues that can be gotten from implementing biogas technology includes sale of electricity, sale of heat, gas, revenue from disposal of digestion substrate, sale of digestate, reduction of cost for disposal of agricultural residues, and carbon emission reduction. Potential feedstock that can be used includes agricultural residue, animal farm, food and kitchen waste, municipal organic waste, wastewater sludge, and high-strength COD wastewater. Some of our success story includes, I would like to showcase the one we did recently for John Bosco Institute. It's a Catholic missionary. The biogas was built to help convert their firewood kitchen into a smoke-free and ash-free kitchen. The Institute now have additional revenue from savings on firewood and a smoke-free kitchen. This was the biogas that was built for the Institute, and that's the gas storage bag for them. Electricity generation for managing pig waste is another project we did for a pig farmer who had challenge managing her pig waste. We built this plant to help the pig farmer manage the waste that is produced daily from the farm and also to cut down on her operational expenses on buying diesel every day to run her petrol generator. This is the Gary factory. We built a biogas to help this factory reduce expenses on disposal of cassava peel, which is now the feedstock, which we co-digest with the pig waste from a pig farm very close to the factory for biogas production. They use it for electricity generation and also for heat for Gary frying. We also have a community waste to wealth project in Bayelsa State. This community waste to wealth project was done to help the community have a toilet, and the waste from the toilet is managed in a environmentally sustainable manner. The toilet is connected to the biogas plant, that's the brain plant you can see over there. And we have another inlet where food waste is shredded and fed, co-digested with the human waste for more gas production for the community. That's a 20 kVA generator installed for the community. We also have the student hosted biogas sewage treatment plant located somewhere in the southern part of Nigeria. This is to help the hostel, the owners, reduce the cost to spend on constant sewage evacuation. So, but with this plant, biogas sewage treatment plant in place, they no longer have to evacuate their waste. We also have a project we did in partnership with Uniben. This project is a project that was installed for electricity generation. It's to help optimize the biogas technology and also to do a proper feasibility and see the feasibility of embarking on commercial sized biogas plants here in Nigeria. Waste to Wealth project at Correctional Center are also some of the projects we've done. About 6 correctional centers presently have biogas plants. We use the waste from the inmates instead of evacuating the waste every month or 2 times in a month like they usually do. The waste is being digested daily within the correctional center. They produce biogas, which is used for cooking in the kitchen. This way they have reduced we've converted their firewood kitchen into gas kitchen. At the moment, they no longer use firewood for cooking at this presence. We have the slaughterhouse to waste project, which is an ongoing project at the moment. Is a slaughterhouse who intends to ensure that the client wants to ensure that he manages every solid and liquid waste that comes out from his slaughterhouse daily, that way to cut down his operational expenses by converting the gas using the gas to generate electricity for his slaughterhouse and also manage his liquid waste effectively. We have the small system for kitchen waste to cooking gas solution. Is a small system. You can manage your kitchen waste from the comfort of your home and generate cooking gas, of course, from the comfort of your home. Thank you again for this opportunity. I'm open to questions and looking forward to another opportunity, to showcase some of our other projects. Thank you.
Hello.
I can.
Hello. Hello.
Akan, are you there?
Hello, Nina. So thanks. That's absolutely fantastic. I know it was a recording, but I think as you were speaking, the questions already started coming through already. So I've got a student who was asked, what happens to the that's to the water, the wastewater from the biodigester? What do you do with it?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, very clearly, Nina. Please continue.
All right. Okay. Most of the clients have crop farms, some of them, or some have a small vegetable farm by the side. So if the waste we're using is 100% animal waste, we don't give the slurry any further treatment. They use it as liquid organic fertilizer to grow their crops around, just maybe by the backyard, or if it's a medium size, like at the prison, they use it to grow plants within the inmates use it to grow plants within the prison. So, but if we're using if it's human waste we're using as a feedstock,
okay,
we give the slurry for the treatment, because after digestion of the solid, the slurry that comes out, before you can apply it directly on any vegetable or any crop farming as liquid organic fertilizer, we subject it to secondary treatment where we aerate the wastewater. We also pass it through some form of filtration before it is discharged into open water bodies.
So Nina, the questions are coming fast and quick. You can trust students because this is very exciting. The questions are coming in fast and quick. Another question for you, Nina, is the water safe for domestic use?
Yeah, okay. Like I said, it depends on the feedstock we're using. If it's animal waste we're using, yes, after digestion, the slurry, liquid organic slurry, is safe for domestic use. But of course, there are rules, 1 part of water to 1 part of the slurry, you mix it with fresh, 1 part of that's 1:1. The slurry with clean water. You can use it for domestic agricultural purposes. But if it's human waste you're treating, like I said, it is important we give it some form of secondary treatment before we discharge into the open drain.
Fantastic. Kek, I'm coming to you now. So Nina, please stay on the call. More questions for you. Kek, the question is for you now. What hazards are associated with biogas in homes and schools? Can they be evaded or prevented?
Sorry, say that again, please.
what hazards are associated with biogas in homes, in schools, and communities, and can they be prevented or mitigated?
Well, I mean, firstly, I mean, the gas itself is not contaminated with anything. Okay, it's not contaminated with any microorganisms or disease-causing agents or whatever. It's actually a much cleaner fuel than, say, using biochar or charcoal or hydrocarbons. You know, like kerosene or whatever.
Okay.
Of course, I mean, as with anything, because it's combustible, if it's not, yes. You know, if it's allowed to build up in an atmosphere to a high concentration and there's an ignition source, there's a chance that, of course, as with any combustible fuel, it could ignite. Okay, and of course, also there's a heat element. Okay, it generates heat because from the flame, so you could burn yourself. But these are similar to other forms of fuel for cooking and heating and lighting anyway. Yeah.
So as long as you are protected, as long as there's a risk assessment and you put all the right process in place, you should be able to mitigate any hazards.
Well, I mean, I would ask you, do most people have a risk assessment for using charcoal to cook with? I suspect not.
Okay, I see what you mean. So, okay, I'm going to follow with another question. Okay, so the next question is, because I think it's maybe your area. Nina, please stay on the call. Don't go yet. Okay, the question is, when you say secondary treatment of human waste, what do you mean, or what does it mean in specifics?
Secondary treatment of human waste.
That's correct.
Yeah. Okay. So this is about making that waste safe or safer. Okay. Obviously. There are issues around potential human pathogens. And of course, we absolutely want to prevent or minimize the exposure of people to those potential pathogens. And ironically, anaerobic digestion is a pathogen killing process.
Oh, wow. Okay. That's interesting. I see what you mean. So basically, the idea is you treat it to kill the pathogens and microbes that can impact on human health through a process. Is that correct?
It's a secondary issue, but yes, that does happen. And the longer the material is in the digester, the more effective that killing is. But there are other things that you can do within the digester or to the digestate when it comes out to reduce pathogen problems.
Pathogens. Beautiful. Nina, I'm coming to you now. So, Nina, I'm sat here and I was thinking I was the only one thinking this, but apparently not. There are many students in the room thinking the same thing. I mean, you obviously were a student, you a graduate. How did you start the company? It just looks so big and massive with all the different things you've done. How did you start? What was the first thing to advise students to start the process of beginning something of this nature? Please, could you advise, Nina? Because I want to know too.
Okay, well, we started quite very small. It started with hello, sorry, I'm actually other side. Okay, so you know, I went, I had those I did my master's program. Can you hear me?
Very clearly, yes. Continue.
All right. I've always had the vision of, you know, that waste, nothing is waste. Waste can also still be a very good resources, which was the reason why I decided to major in environmental engineering, you know, and I specifically focused on energy production from waste. So after my study, I felt there's a whole lot to be done in Nigeria. When I came back to Nigeria, you know, I started trying to promote this course. And unfortunately, of course, people didn't believe that. How can you say you can generate energy from waste? Show us how it's done. Show us where it's being done. Show us the working plans. You know, so my focus now moved from having just the passion to do this thing to actually doing it practically by bringing in a small plant.
Interesting.
Hello? By building a small plant, by building a small plant, then I got the ministries in Ministry of Environment in Lagos State. I got the Ministry of Agric and several other people, to come see how this technology works. Fortunately, then Fashola was the governor of Lagos State. He actually gave us a letter of intent to start the project, to scale it up to a commercial size plant. But of course, unfortunately, there were a lot of disappointments along the way. So we couldn't pull off that big commercial plant. So I said, okay, if the support is not coming from government, on my own part, I can sell these ideas to small farmers, to individual homes that this can be done. And gradually, that was how we started. We started with one project with the farmers. So from the farmers, it moved into, other clients, individual homes coming in, okay, come build this thing for us, show us how it works. And this is how our clientele have risen up from one person to about 30 different people we have done this project for.
That is absolutely phenomenal, absolutely fantastic. Now, I hear a few things from you, which I want the students in the room to listen very carefully. You might have an idea, but it remains an idea in your head, and it gathers dust in the head. An idea is an idea, it's stuck in the head. But what Nina is telling me, which I'm hearing clearly, is the fact that you need to take the extra step of the first action point. What do I do first that is within my control? Doesn't require so much resources, so much energy, so much time, or so much money to show the evidence that the idea makes sense. As I know for a fact, I feel a university is the best environment to try things because you have access to professors, to locations, to resources, different things. You just try something out, no matter how small. Because when you try it out, it's no longer an idea. It's moved from an idea to an action. But as long as it remains an idea in your head, nothing will ever happen. I think it's absolutely fundamental. Because people want to see the evidence of the feasibility of that idea. Kek, I'm coming back to you, please. Kek.
Yes.
So that a student asks, those microbes that actually are, so what specific microbes or anaerobes are used? Are they indigenous to the waste, or can you, in my mind, or can you introduce microbes for a specific reason? Make sense?
Okay, so you can do both can happen.
Okay.
If you put the waste material into an airtight cylinder, an anaerobic digester, and leave it, the microorganisms will develop that are fit for purpose for the anaerobic digestion process. Okay.
Where have they come from? Where have they come from, though?
Well, they're already there. Okay, they're already in the waste. Okay. They may be present in incredibly small numbers, but given the right conditions, they will grow. But you can also inoculate, and this is a much more preferred and usual way. So you take something, a material, a small amount that already has the microorganisms in it. So you might take it from another anaerobic digester. You might take it from a latrine pit, for example, and use that to boost the microorganisms in the anaerobic digester. But there are companies, of course, and I'm not convinced, but I'll say it anyway. There are companies out there that actually sell microbial preparations that you can add to your anaerobic digester to boost it. Now, some of them do work and some of them don't. And given the choice, I would always go for the natural option, the indigenous option. Yeah.
I'm coming back to a follow-up question, Kek. So somebody's asking, so is there a minimum quantity of waste that is required for biogas to be produced for an average homestead? It's a really good question, very clever. Is there a minimum quantity in your mind?
Well, yeah, I mean, first of all, you would think about the size of the digester in relation to the amount of waste that you're actually producing. Okay. If you build a massive digester, but you can't feed it properly because you haven't got enough feedstock, enough waste, then it's going to fail. So what you have to understand is how much organic waste you produce as a homestead in a day, right? And from that, work out the size of the digester. So typically, you wouldn't want to build a digester that actually takes every single. You always want an excessive feedstock, okay?
Okay.
It might be 10%, it might be 50%, whatever it is, so that you've always got enough to keep feeding the digester.
Because you have to keep feeding digester, so it can't just happen if you just have just one supply of waste and that's it. You have to keep feeding it with a lot of waste.
Of course you do, because it's like your stomach. It is essentially a stomach. If you put the food in, you get the energy. If you don't put the food in, you don't get the energy.
Nina,
and you go hungry.
Thank you very much, Keck. I'm going to go to Nina because we have many questions, but I want to get through so we can move to Mentimeters, but also to the last two speakers. Nina, last question for you. So somebody has asked you specifically, is there a minimum permissible standard the digestate must be before it can be used for application as fertilizer? Is there a minimum requirement?
Okay. Okay. So, you know, once the waste goes through the digestion process, the slurry that comes out, of course, is free of odor, and you know, it's free of odors in most times, and you perceive just something like a humus kind of smell what you smell in the forest.
Okay,
so, and again, like I said, if it's coming from an animal, if it's animal waste that you're using. You know, once it has through the digestion process, the slurry meets. I mean, you can use it for agricultural human waste. You can apply that. So, if you're dealing with, hello.
Go on, please.
Okay, if you're dealing with, like I said, if it's any form of animal waste you're using and it goes through the digestion process, the slurry that comes out is fit to be used as organic fertilizer for crops.
Okay. I see. Okay, got you.
So so for me specifically, what I have noticed is this the type of feedstock. Yeah.
Okay. So the person if it's
can I come in on this?
Yes, please. Go on, please.
So in Nigeria doesn't currently have any standards for digestate. Okay, but we know our good friend and colleague at the University of Benin and Igbenedian University is working with government on developing standards therein. However, in the UK, there is a standard, and in order for digestate to be applied to land, it has to pass what we call the PASS 110 standard, which considers the amount of potentially pathogenic organisms, but also the heavy metal content as well. And if the heavy metal content or the bacterial loading, potential pathogen loading in that is excessive, it doesn't meet the standard, then you can't apply it. Okay. Is that
right? As you were saying that, Keck, anybody in the room, any student who is currently looking for a potential research area for their dissertation or their thesis, I mean, could you consider investigating the different policies for the standard of digestate in different African countries? It might be a very interesting research subject matter because, like Keck said, in the UK, it's actually a standard that it has to pass through. But currently in Nigeria, I'm not sure Ghana. I will ask my friend Francis or Richard to speak about this when it comes to session. In Nigeria, there's no current standard for that residue after the process at the moment. But the question is, should there be one? Probably there should. But that's a question for another day or discussion for another time. Okay, because I know there's many questions coming through, and I'll pick this up. I'm going to just go straight to a simple Mentimeter session where I want every student in the room to engage with what is happening. So now, if you look at the chat section of this call, you see a link. Okay, so I want you guys to click the link, and you see a question. And the question, if you just respond or answer the question, we would watch the answers live on the screen. So look at the chat section of this call. You will see 3 different links. Click on any of the link, you would see a question and start to respond to the question. Question 1 is, why is waste to energy not very mainstream in Africa? I think somebody asked that question. If it's so good, why don't you have it everywhere? What do you think? Let me hear you speak. So just choose any of those things you think is the reason, the real reason why this is the case. And let's watch it live as we proceed. Why do you think, or why is waste to energy not very mainstream in Africa? If it's so cool and so nice and people are making money from it, why is it everywhere? So is it because of a low knowledge of energy or low knowledge of technology? Is it because of a dependence on fossil fuel or the lack of government policy? What are we thinking? Let's see. Keck, I'd like you to think about this and come for a response. Nina, if you're also on the call, you tell me what you see from these questions. So it's looking like the number on or the choice or the option of low knowledge of technology is becoming a big case, which I found very interesting, because I think Keck would agree with me. This is not new technology, is it? Keck, what do you think?
Yeah, I'm surprised by that as well. Anaerobic digestion has been around for thousands of years, but it's been a recognised technology for at least 100 years. So therein, if people want to find out about it, they can do. I think the issue is perhaps more localized, perhaps, rather than the fact that the technology is out there, that people just are not aware of it, perhaps, because but I mean, the students are coming through very, very strongly here about low knowledge of technology. Now that might be personal lack of knowledge. It might be common to the university or the town, the city, the country, whatever it might be. But I am a bit surprised by that. But it's a real thing. We're seeing this emerging.
Yeah, but maybe it ties with the with the earlier question we asked. Have you heard of the term circular economy? Yeah, and many of them haven't heard of it. It kind of aligns with this, doesn't it?
Sure, absolutely.
Okay, second question, and it goes in your mind. It's an open question now. You only have to respond to it with any phrase or simple sentence or a word. What are the challenges of setting up waste to energy plants in Africa? What do you think? What are people thinking? Based on your engagement so far, what are the challenges of setting up waste to energy plants in Africa? What do you think? It's very similar to the first question, but maybe I want to throw it a bit more open since there is no options in this one. Technical knowledge, that was very clear in the last question. Anybody thinking anything else? Technical knowledge, lack of government policies, according to Gaston Sakala. Anybody thinking anything else? Money, I like that. That's very true. Funding. William Henry says lack of political goodwill and funding. Interesting. Anybody else thinking something else? Lack of resources, lack of finance coming through strongly. Okay. It's very capital intensive. Oh, I like what Bashir says. Bashir says lack of zeal. The zeal to embark on such a project. Interesting. Musa Shirley says lack of knowledge. Kelvin says lack of finances, capital muscle. It seems to be a focus on funding. Nina, I'm going to come back to you, Nina. Do you think funding is a fundamental reason why this is not happening? Nina.
Hello, Akan, can you hear me?
Very clearly, yes.
Hello?
Do you think funding?
Yeah.
Do you think funding is a fundamental reason why it's not happening, in your view?
Oh, well, I think somebody has, they've mentioned quite a number of reasons, but I think like they said, that supports. If you don't have, apart from having the passion, if you don't have that financial support or the technical support, because some are interested in this, but the technical know-how is not there. So I think lack of technical support and financial support, these are very key. And awareness, the third thing is awareness.
Okay.
So if people see more of these projects all over places, and also there is support for this technically and financially, I think it will happen. We have more of it happening, here in Africa.
That's fantastic. Okay, next question. A waste to energy plant manages waste, produces energy, and produces digestate for inorganic fertilizer for agriculture. Which of these is the most important to you? What do you think? Which of these is the most important to you? So there's energy, waste, producing energy, and agriculture, digestive fertilizer. Which of these is the most important to you? Oh, this is very interesting. Kek, what do you think? This is exciting.
Well, they're all really important. They're all really important, but the high value element of this is energy production. That's what is most valuable in a monetary sense. Yeah, and of course it's creeping up, but you know, waste in our society causes so many problems to human health, to our daily business, to the environment. So I understand why people are definitely going for focusing on the waste.
It's just to get rid of it in one way or the other, whether there's energy coming out of it or not, or supporting agriculture. Just taking it out of the system reduces impact on health, which I think is understandable. That's fascinating. I think we can just take the last question now before we move to the next speakers. How best can waste to energy plants be funded? What are you guys thinking? Let's go. How best can waste to energy plants be funded, and what are you guys thinking? How best can waste to energy plants be funded? Is it government sources, a combination of all, private sources, international donors? Let me see what the students are thinking, because there seems to be a major dependence on government. But the question is, can government do everything? I don't think so. If not, what should it be? It has to be a combination. I think I'm happy this is coming true. A combination of all. There has to be a sense of variety in funding opportunities, whether from friends and family, from private sources, from bank investors, government calls, whatever the case is. You have to think about funding as resources and spread your tentacles across board for you to be accessible. On that note, because of time, I'm going to wrap this up, and thank you very much for the interaction. We're going to move to the next segment of the presentation, where we're going to hear specific case studies or a presentation of individuals who are experts in this field and the amazing things they've done in their countries. So the first person I want to invite is my good friend, Dr. Richard Bayetsi, who is a senior scientist at the Council for Scientific and Industrial Research in Ghana. And he's done, oh, sorry, I want to call Richard first, if I may, please. Richard first. Thank you. Thank you, Alan.
If Andrew had shared it, so yeah.
Okay, so I apologize for that. So can I call Richard? Richard is a senior scientific executive at the Council for Scientific and Industrial Research in Ghana, and he is an expert in the field. Richard will give us a feel as to what is happening in the circular water economy, waste management, and bioenergy space in Ghana for our learning. Richard, you're the call. Let's go.
Yeah, thank you, Akan.
Fantastic.
I'm very grateful to be given this opportunity to interact with the students and tell them what we have been doing in Ghana in terms of biogas development. I'll try and see if I can share my screen. If I have any challenge, Alan will take over from me.
Yes,
that's fine, Richard. No problem.
Can you see it? Is it showing?
Very, very clearly. We can see it, my friend. Let's go.
Okay, nice one.
You just need to put it in presentation mode, Richard.
Yeah.
Yeah, there we go.
There you go. There you go. Beautiful.
Yes, so as I said, you have already introduced me, so there is no need to waste time on that. So my presentation will take this format. I'll give you a background information, and then I'll link it to the trend of biogas development in Ghana. Then after that, I'll give you the bioenergy case studies in Ghana. So I put them in two, one for the commercial and then the other one for the institutions. So, in fact, as we all know, bioenergy is a form of energy that is derived from life, because the material that we use to generate this energy is lively materials, and they can be regenerated because they are abundant in the world. So it's very, very important. That's why we refer to it as a renewable energy source. And the gas that we get from this activity, we can use it for several things. We can use it to cook. We can use it for electricity generation. We can use it for heating purposes. And we can also use it in transportation. In Ghana, we have what we call Renewable Energy Act in 2011. This act was promulgated, and the key provision in that act is what? If you generate energy, what are you going to do with the energy? The idea is you want to sell the energy. So if you want to sell that energy, what will motivate you to do that? So the most important aspect of it is the feed-in tariff, because you need to generate money from your activities. So the Energy Act deals with the feed-in tariff, how much that the buyer will pay for the energy that you have generated and then transmitted onto the national platform. So it's very, very important. And one other key issue here is the licensing regime. In fact, getting license for generating electricity in Ghana is quite cumbersome. So it's one of the bottlenecks that most people who want to go into that venture, they have to battle with. And in 2019, Ghana has set up targets for itself in the realms of renewable energy production. If you look at this table, we give ourselves that by 2025, we should be able to generate electricity from biogas, about 30.1 megawatt of electricity. That's the target we have given ourselves. And out of that, we said we are going to build individual units. As you can see from the table, biogas units from agricultural waste, we say we'll build about 100. For institutions, we said we'll build about 320. And for domestic use, we'll build about 130. But so far, what we have done, I'm sorry to say that we are nowhere near getting to these figures that we have assigned to ourselves. So there is a big challenge there. So there is a why. Why are we not being able to get to that place? I'm sure along the line, we will answer that question. In fact, Ghana government has a vision in 1960 that biogas will be one source of energy that can help the country. So they started thinking about that technology in 1960. But nothing happened. 20 years down the lane, before people started to know about something on biogas. You know, in the Mentimeter, we said lack of what? People don't even know about the technology. So you can see over here, 20 years in Ghana before people started knowing about the technology. Well, it took us another 12 years before we were able to build the first biogas plant in Ghana. So you can see the challenges that we have gone through. In fact, the biogas research is being done by so many institutions. So these are just some few ones that I've listed here. They are all involved in biogas technology, building of biodigesters, researching into biogas systems. And CSI Institute of Industrial Research is one of the key institutions that have done a whole lot of work in biogas research in Ghana. And we have built a lot of biodigesters in Ghana, different type of biodigesters in Ghana. Between 1987 to 2012, we have built about 54 fixed dome biodigesters scattered all over the country. In 2020, we have developed a new system called integrated digester. I'll be showing that one to you along the line. It's a different design altogether from the fixed dome. From 2014 to 2017, we have introduced a new design that we call anaerobic baffle reactor. We've built 16 of these ones in people's homes and institutions. This reactor is very efficient in generating biogas. At the same time, the cost of building this system is quite lower than that of the fixed dome. So in fact, the fixed dome, the cost of building the fixed dome is quite challenged. And then the technology that is needed to build the fixed dome digesters is quite a problem, because getting people to know how to build that fixed dome is very challenging. So we decided to come out with a new design which would generate the same amount of gas or even better, but the building of that digester is quite simpler, which every machine can undertake that activity. So that is what we have done as an institution. So I'll start with the first commercial biogas plant that we have built in Ghana. The name of this company is called Safisana. And what was the concept of this biogas plant? The concept is that they will take waste from public toilets, they will get organic waste from the markets, and then they will convert that to organic fertilizer and generate electricity, which will be fed into the national grid for our consumption. So this is the production process. So as you can see from the previous slide, they get the waste from the toilet, organic, they transport it. They have a section where they do the mixing of the two. Then they process, they get biogas, fertilizer, and then they get wastewater. And all these streams, they can use the biogas for heating, for electricity, they can use the fertilizer for farming, and then the wastewater can be used for irrigation purposes. Before Safisana was able to be successful in their venture, they formed very, very useful partnership with other people who helped them in building this factory. So they have a national steering committee that oversees all the activities of the factory. They have one company called Learning Alliance. They provided a whole lot of consultancy for their activity. And the staff they were very, very motivated to undertake this job, because Safisana is the first company in Ghana that built commercial biogas plants. So you can imagine the technology, the staff will have to do trial and error, they have to build sometime, demolish, do a whole lot of changes before they were successful. So in fact, I commend the staff for a good work done. And they form a very good partnership with feedstock people who produce the feedstock for the plant, because without a feedstock, these plants cannot operate. And then they have good neighborliness. They have engagement with their neighbors so that their activities will not impact the neighborhood in which they are doing their work. So this is just to show you their construction phase. So you can see the pictures when they were constructing the factory. It started in 2016. And currently, this is how the place looks like. So you can see a septic emptier discharging the fecal sludge. So they normally mix fecal sludge with organic material from the markets and abattoir waste to generate the gas. So you can see intake food waste from the market. So these are just pictures to show you what they have done on site and what they do. So they have their, well, this is the solid waste intake and the sorting. So this is where they do some sorting and then make sure that the organic material that they feed into the digester is clean and not contaminated. So you can see their generator house. That is where they keep their generator, which the biogas is used to power it to generate electricity. So in addition to that, they have their own greenhouse where they use the organic fertilizer that they produce from this company to grow plants. Then they are able to sell these plants for people to use in agriculture. So this is an additional income that they generate from their activities. So this is the staff very excited after they have put in the first electricity, about 100 kilowatts of electricity into the national grid, and they were very happy about their feat, what they have achieved. So this company is still operating up to date, and they are doing very well. apart from all these achievements, they face a lot of challenges. And one of the key challenges that they face in Ghana is, as we all know, the quality of waste. Before you can generate any good biogas, your waste has to be quality, because it is microorganisms which are going to feed on the organic material, and they are very, very selective. So if you look at the right side, you see that in Ghana, most of our waste is in that form. So it will be very difficult for you to get a quality waste. So you have to devise a means of getting the quality waste for your operation. Now, apart from the challenges, there are barriers that you have to cross before it can be successful. The first one is the high initial cost of the plant. So in fact, you need about over 5 years before you can break even when you are going through that venture. Then you can see turnaround for securing permits and licenses is very, very, very problematic. It takes a long time for you to get your permit to operate. And we don't even have any means of subsidizing the activities. So you need to go and look for money and operate your business. So it's quite a challenge. Then another one is lack of workable examples, because they were the first people to build that commercial biogas plant. So they do not have any experience, or they don't have any example from anywhere to learn from. So they have to learn from the scratch. And sometimes we researchers, we assist them, but they need to go through the rudiments of learning, which they did. And finally, they were successful. So these were some of the challenges that they have to address before the company is operating effectively as of today. Apart from Safisana, we have Sewerage Systems Ghana Limited. They treat mainly the fecal sludge. And we have one built at Lavender Hill. This was commissioned in November 2016. It's about 2,000 meter cube per day biodigester system. So this is able to treat fecal sludge and then produce biogas. But unfortunately, the biogas that is produced from these systems are not being used. And the company actually started to use the digestate rather for composting. So most of the activities is based on composting, and then they have a lot of organic fertilizer. So they have another Kotoku, so you can see the capacity is just 1,000 meter cubed, and it's operating at 90% capacity. So they have similar plants dotted in Ghana. This one is called Mudo Sewage Treatment Plant. It's capacity of 18,000 meter cubed per day, and they are all treating our fecal sludge and generating biogas. Another one in Kumasi, 1,000 meter cubed per day. And then this is to show you the facility. So they have aerobic tanks, and then they have upflow anaerobic sludge blanket tanks. So the blanket tanks is where they generate the biogas. And this is the biogas storage. What they generate, actually, they flare it up, because according to them, they don't have it in huge commercial quantity to be able to feed onto the national grid. So they flare it up. So these are some of their instruments that they use for their activities. It's a very effective plant that produces biogas and then biofertilizer. For the institutional case study, the first one I'll look at is Institute of Industrial Research built biogas facility at Ankafu Maximum Security Prisons. So the population size of the prison is 4,000 persons. They are in the prison. So the biogas that was estimated to be produced was 63 meter cubed gas per day. And the volumetric flow rate of the influence about 80 meter cubed per day. These are just a technical specification for building up that biodigester for the prisons. So this is the operational. This is just to show you the flow diagram of the plant. So I will not go too much into it. So the plant was built in 2011 and commissioned by the President of Ghana. So apart from the biodigester and provision of gas, the additional thing that we did for them was to provide a system to treat the effluent and then to be able to use the liquid fertilizer and then be able to even purify the gas unit. The picture of the biodigester system at the prison, the maximum security prison. So you can see on the top left corner, these are the biodigesters, fixed dome digesters buried into the ground. On the right is the treatment facility. You use the sunlight to treat the effluent before the effluent is used for gardening purposes in the prison. So you can see the gas holder. And that is we have a kitchen where we pipe the gas to the kitchen for cooking. On the left, you can see the stoves there, that's the kitchen. So that's it. But what are the challenges of the system that we have built at that place? Unfortunately, the system was left to deteriorate because of lack of maintenance. So currently, this is the picture that you see at the site. So you can compare for yourself. The first picture I show about the site, this is what you can see today because of lack of maintenance. This is what you can see. This is where the effluent goes into the biodigesters. We have a grid. The whole place is choked with dirt. So the biodigester is completely collapsed and it's not functioning as of today. Yes, when it comes to another institutional biogas system that we have built this system. That is the integrated biodigester that I talk about. This was built under the ACTUATE project. So it is a demonstrator biogas plant that was built at a basic school in Ghana. The name of the school is Umar bin Khattab Islamic School. So this is just to show you the design. This is a 3D design of the system. So we moved away from burying the digester to putting the digester on the surface. One of the advantages of building the digester on the surface is you can actually identify all the linkages, and if there is any leakage, you can actually see and address. But the digesters that are buried underground, one of the disadvantages is that when there are leakages, it's very, very difficult to detect, and you can actually pollute groundwater if that leakage is not detected and corrected. So this new system has come in place to address those challenges that you can face when you bury the digesters underground. So as you can see here, the digester is built on top of a septic tank. So the digester has two sources of feedstock, one from the septic tank, then the other one from organic waste that will come from the school. So you can see the mixing tank. So this is just to show you the 3D design of the system that we have built at the Medina School. So this is the actual picture of what we have built out of the 3D design. You can see the septic tank, and then the digester is in the middle with the inlet-outlet tank sitting on it. So this is just 1.5 meter cube digester, and we expect to generate gas of 1.25 meter cube of gas a day. And this concept is, we are not just generating the gas, we want to showcase the gas. We want to show how that gas can be used for educational purposes and other issues. So we created what we call a show lab. So the picture you see on my right is the show lab that we have created, where this gas is channeled into the lab. Currently, as I speak, the picture of the show lab is different from what you see. I have not updated my picture. Currently, the picture of the show lab shows the gas connection and all the facilities that you can see in the show lab. We have the gas stove, we have the gas lantern, everything displayed in this show lab for demonstration purposes. In conclusion, in Ghana, most of the biogas plants that we built are being used mainly for sanitation purposes. If you see the Mentimeter chart, you saw there was something on sanitation and something on energy production. People were talking about sanitation. Yes, that's true. In Africa, most of the biogas system that we built, especially in Ghana, the concentration is on sanitation than the utilization of the gas. And I think that mentality has to change. And I'm very optimistic that it's changing because of the commercial biogas plant that we have gotten. And if you look at the statistics here, if you in Ghana currently, biogas contribute only 0.1%.
Oh, wow.
National energy feed. So biogas contribute only 0.1%. The energy that we generate in Ghana. So that is the picture as of now. So we need to do more to change this. This is as of 2016, but I don't think it has increased that much from that percentage.
Okay.
So thank you for listening. So this is just a blue flame from biogas, from a biogas plant from our office. So this flame actually is a real flame that we generate from our office, from our biogas system. Thank you. Thank you.
And what a beautiful way to end your presentation. And people can just see that what we are saying is not just focused on just one country. It's happening everywhere. And this is absolutely fantastic. Now, Richard, don't go anywhere. I've got a range of questions coming through from the students, but it's easier to take all the questions together as after we've taken the last presentation. And none other than somebody the students have already interacted with on the group, which is Dr. Andrew Amenao. So Andrew is going to be talking about the Nigerian perspective, because obviously Nigeria and Ghana are two principal partners on this ACTUATE and Recirculate project. And after Andrew's presentation as a showcase, then I'm going to go straight and we can bombard them with as many questions as possible, which I'm taking track on, do a final Mentimeter session, and we can wrap it up. Over to you, Andrew. You've got 15 minutes. Thank you, boss.
All right. Yeah, so you can see the screen, right?
Yes, very clearly.
All right. So I'm just going to go straight to the Nigerian ACTUATE project, what we have done, because a lot of issues on policy and all of that has been taken care of by Richard in his presentation. Then other case studies in other parts of Nigeria, Nina has also talked about them. So I'm just going to focus on the ACTUATE project here in the University of Benin. So as an overview, the ACTUATE project is a Global Research Translation Award, which is funded by the Global Challenges Research Fund, which has already been mentioned by Kirk in his presentation. What ACTUATE seeks to do is to develop anaerobic digestion demonstration systems in Ghana, like Richard has already mentioned, and also in Nigeria. And the focus is to deliver electricity, sanitation, improve sanitation, as well as produce a sustainable organic fertilizer for crop production. So I'm going to skip all of this because a number of the previous presenters have already mentioned all of that. So, but in essence, we have two demonstration plants, one in Ghana, which Richard has already talked about, and the second is in the University of Benin campus here in Nigeria. So ACTUATE actually carries on the whole philosophy of GSCRF funded projects, which has to do with collaboration and profitable partnerships. And this is part of the things that I've already talked about on the group. So in line with that, we have a number of partners here in Nigeria and also in Ghana. Of course, here in Nigeria, we have the University of Benin, CG in Nigeria, the National Center for Energy and Environment, Nigerian Environmental Society. While in Ghana, we have a CSR, the Umar bin Atab Islamic School, like Richard has already mentioned. We have LU Ghana, Sapisana, Zoom Lion. These are waste management companies in Ghana. So these are all partners that have been working together to deliver on this project. So these are just some members of the UNIBEN team. Our team lead is Professor Lawrence Izemoye. We have other members here. And the key point here is that it's actually a multidisciplinary team. We have engineers, we have economists, we have ecotoxicologists, we have biotechnology. So there's a whole lot of collaboration taking place to be able to deliver on this project. So the major motivation for this, at least in the context of the Nigerian environment, has to do with three key things. There's a serious energy shortage in Nigeria. Over 40% of the population do not have access to electricity. We also know that Nigeria has serious issues with waste management. There's serious shortage of infrastructure to effectively manage the waste that we generate, and we also have shortage of food because there is poor agricultural productivity. And the other things I have on the slide, which Keck has already mentioned. But the key thing is that even though this is a snapshot of what you have in Nigeria, this situation is also actually reflected in other African countries. So this is the major motivation to see how we can bridge this gap, to diversify the energy mix, to see how we can improve on our energy production, to improve on our waste management system, and also to increase crop production. So that's the key motivation for this project. Now, the approach we have decided to adopt, or that the project has decided to adopt, is actually to take waste streams from human, agricultural, and animal sources, and channel it into an anaerobic digester to produce biogas. Now, biogas is actually the primary product of this process. And after producing biogas, I'm just going to briefly talk about the process of biogas production, but I'll quickly explain what I have on this slide. After producing biogas, you can use it for a variety of applications, for cooking, for lighting, heating, small scale or even large scale electricity generation, and even it can be compressed and used as fuel for automobiles. One of the byproducts of the anaerobic digestion process is what we call digestate. Digestate is actually very rich in nutrients and can be used as an alternative, a very sustainable alternative to the conventional inorganic fertilizers that we have. And of course, when we apply it to soil, we have improved and enhanced crop production. And like Keck mentioned already, we actually have a circular economy happening here. The waste that we generate from agriculture is fed back into the digester. So you have a circular system that essentially you don't have any waste being generated. So the goal of our project is to build a 30 cubic meter digester, which we have already built. And in addition to the two digesters, which are 15 cubic meters each, making a total of 30 cubic meters, we have a 20 cubic meters gas storage bag. We also have a 6.5 kVA biogas generator, which we are going to use to generate electricity from the biogas produced. And the biogas generator guarantees us as much as 8 hours per day of electricity uninterrupted. And the feedstock that we are using to produce biogas is actually abattoir waste, a mix of abattoir waste and food waste. And we go to the abattoirs to collect the abattoir waste from them, the actually cattle rumen content. We collect from them, charge into the digester in a specific ratio with food waste. We have been able to have some engagement with the University of Benin staff quarters, residents there, and they actually gather and provide us with food waste. So for a particular run, we expect to charge as much as 7,500 kilograms of waste. So that is currently ongoing right now as I speak. This project has been on since 2019, and it's going to round up sometime in December this year. So essentially, we are trying to manage waste, to recover value from waste through anaerobic digestion by producing biogas and digestate, which I've already mentioned, so I won't spend much time to talk about this. So specifically now, to produce biogas, you have a number of steps, actually 4 steps. The first step is hydrolysis, followed by acidogenesis, that's followed by acetogenesis, and finally you have methanogenesis. Now, what happens in each of these steps? The first step is hydrolysis, where the complex carbohydrates, fatty fats, proteins in the feedstock, they are broken down into simpler molecules like sugars, fatty acids, and amino acids. So the second step, which is the acidogenesis step, is now involves the breakdown of this the product from the hydrolysis step into things like amino acid, alcohols, and volatile fatty acids. These products goes into the third step, which is acetogenesis, where the VFAs, the alcohols, are converted into acetic acid and hydrogen. as well as carbon dioxide. Now, all of this goes to the last stage, which is methanogenesis, where the products are now converted into methane and CO2. So methane is actually the biogas with some amount of carbon dioxide. So all of this happens inside the anaerobic digester and is facilitated by very specific microorganisms. So for the Uniben plant, this process actually, like I've mentioned, we have a multidisciplinary team who have been working together. But specifically for the plant itself, we have a team of engineers, which I'm part of. So the first thing that we need to do was to have a flow diagram of the process. So essentially, this is what we have. We have the two digesters, as you can see, digester number 1, digester number 2. That's where the digestion actually takes place. So we have to do a whole detailed design of this process. And we received a lot of support from our partners in Lancaster University in the UK. Then after that, we had to do what we call a hazard study. That actually means hazard and operability study, because we need to be sure that when this plant is in operation, what are the type of hazards that could possibly come up and ways that we can use to mitigate them. So we did a whole lot of that. It was actually a series of meetings where we had to do a lot of checks to ensure that the plant that we have built is actually safe. Then, of course, after that, we had to do a lot of safety considerations and as well as a performance assessment to ensure that what we actually have is able to do what is intended to do. So this has been going on for quite a number of months, and the results have been very, very productive. So this is like a sort of a side layout where we have the actual plant inside the University of Benin. We had some people in civil engineering that helped us to take care of all of this. Then these are pictures that just shows how we progress in terms of developing the site as the work was going on. So as it stands now, I'm going to show you images of the state of the plant as it is. So this first image shows the maceration tank and the storage bay, where we feed in the feedstock and do all the mixing, because we have to mix the feedstock after grinding it and mixing with water in the appropriate ratio. All of that process happens inside the storage bay. Then from there, it's fed to the two digesters through the digester inlets. And after that, we allow the microorganisms to do their job. And in a matter of days, gas starts producing. Then this is another view of the two digesters, their connections. And of course, this is the back of the digester. After the digestion has taken place and all of the gas has been produced from the feedstock, what remains is a slurry from which we can get the digestate. So we have an outlet at the back of the digester from which we can evacuate the digestate. So all of that was taken care of in the design. Then this is the powerhouse where we have the gas bag. So you can see the big balloon there. That's actually filled with biogas. And of course, in this last figure, we have the biogas generator, which we're actually using powering using biogas that we have produced from the plant. So this is essentially a summary of what we have done, and we are able to produce as much as 30 cubic meters of gas, and we're able to run the generator for as much as 8 hours to produce light per day. The lights that we produce, or the electricity that we produce from this project, is used to power the Center for Global Eco-Innovation here in the University of Benin. So beyond all the technical stuff that we have been doing, there has been a whole lot of engagement, centered around co-developing the technology and co-implementing the technology, because we don't want to have a solution that we conceive on our own and they might not be fit for the purpose. So in the course of developing this technology, even in the course of implementing it, we have always carried along key stakeholders. So we have done a whole lot of stakeholders engagement. We have met with the abattoir operators, secondary school students, even undergraduate students, waste managers, and smallholder farmers. And those set of engagements have been going on, and it has been continuous. So I'm just going to run through a number of them because it's actually very, very important. So we have PIND. PIND is an initiative in Niger Delta, in Delta State of Nigeria, and they're actually also interested in biogas technology. And we've had an ongoing engagement and collaboration with them just for the purpose of knowledge exchange. Because one of the things that we found out was that you have a number of all these biogas plants around, but they usually end up failing. So we had to enter into some form of collaboration so that we can bring our expertise and they can also bring in their experience. And that has worked very well. The abattoir operators, this one was very key because they are our major suppliers of feedstock. So We have been having ongoing engagement with them, and in fact, recently we invited them to our center where we train them and on how they can actually use the waste they generate, to generate gas, which they can use for their roasting and also for heating operation. And they were actually very, very impressed when they saw that the waste that we collect from them, what we have actually used it to do. So they actually said right there, they actually set up committees that we, start working on how they can, develop their own biogas plants. Then we visited this greenhouse farm in Benin, where they generate a lot of waste. And after engaging with them, we enter into a partnership on how we can also help them to generate gas from the waste that they generate in their farm. We have visited for some poultry farms. These people, they generate a whole lot of waste, and they have issues with actually disposing of the waste. So we had some meetings with them, and they have indicated a serious interest in developing bioenergy plants, so that they can be able to manage the waste that they generate. And of course, the waste managers. The reason for this was because the waste management in those states is actually handled by the government. And we saw an opportunity in that, so that's why we had some engagement with them, and we have been able to enter into some partnerships, which has been bearing some fruit. And of course, smallholder farmers. Keck talked about this in his presentation. They are actually the off-takers for digestate, because you can produce a lot of digestate, but if you don't have people that are going to use them, there will be a problem. So we needed to train the farmers, to first of all introduce them to the whole concept of digestate. They were hearing about digestate for the first time. And after a series of trainings, and we invited them back for feedback, and they were very, very happy, and they showed a high level of acceptability to use digestate. Then, of course, secondary school students, even primary school students, as well as undergraduate students, we have been having a whole lot of engagement with them, because we think that in order for us to have a paradigm shift, to have a change in mindset, it has to start from the younger generation. And we have done a lot of demonstrations with them, and we have had very profitable responses from them. So all of these engagements have been very, very impactful. The abattoir operators have indicated interest to work with the Uniben team to deploy biogas plants in the abattoirs. The farmers have indicated a high level of accessibility for the use of digestate. Many undergraduate students have indicated interest. In fact, many of them want to do their research project in the field of bioenergy and waste management. Even the secondary and primary school students have indicated interest, and that they want to pursue careers in the bioenergy space in the future. So even of course, where we are domiciled, the University of Benin, the administration of the university they have been very, very impressed and supportive of the work that we are doing. So the Uniben visited the plant and with our management team, and they were very impressed with what we're doing, and they have also continued to give their support. So in rounding up, we plan to take this to a higher level, and bring in entrepreneurs, SMEs, to expand the scope of operation to abattoirs, smallholder farmers, researchers, to see how we can expand the scope of impact of this project. So I think that will be the end of the presentation. Thank you very much.
I think that's absolutely fantastic. My goodness, I'm clapping for you from here, Andrew. I'm clapping for you and Richard for a powerful presentation of what's happening on the ground. So you guys, you have been bombarded by questions. So Keck, you're on the call, stick around, because a few questions I'll direct to you as well. So let's run through a few questions before we have a final Mentimeter, and then we can wrap it up. So it's been very, very fascinating, but the students are enthralled, the students are excited, but obviously a few are also confused. What is going on here? So some clarity is obviously required. So Richard, I'll come to you first. So Richard, the question is, can a biodigester be installed at household level, integrated with a domestic septic tank? Richard.
Yes, that can be done in the household level. Yeah.
So it's a simple answer. Yes, it can be done. Yeah. That's a question from Kauma M. Richard, I'll come to you again. What is the time frame generally for slurry in the digester before it's removed for manure purpose? Is there a time frame for slurry to be in the digester before it's removed for manure purpose? And is there a reason for the time frame? If there is
yes. Averagely, it's about 30 days. We call it a retention time. That is the number of days that the material will stay in the digester before it will be fully digested. So we call it a retention time. So averagely, it's around 30 days. So it depending on the design and the size of the digester, and then even the material that you are using, the days can increase that.
So Andrew, over to you now. So the question is, approximately how long does it take for the microorganism to feed on the organic stock, or does it depend on the amount of feedstock being treated? Andrew.
Okay, that is also very close to the answer that Richard just gave.
So
it's a function of detention time. Yeah, exactly. So, okay. So an average 30-35 days.
So, by the way, any student in the room who was asking for the PowerPoint presentations, if you look at the chat section right now, every PowerPoint presentation, including Nina's video, is on the chat. You can download right away. So look at the chat. We've loaded all the 4 presentations on the chat, so you can download right away. Okay, for those who asked that. So, Keck, I'm coming to you now. And the question is this. It's a very interesting question for someone asked. And the question is, somebody get a sense that there is some conversion or connection between academia and industry in biogas development. Is that the case? Is there a connection?
Yeah, I think there is a connection. I mean, as I said before, the notion of biogas and anaerobic digestion has been around for a long time. I think the issue is that if you're hoping to take a European model of anaerobic digestion and implant it into a community in somewhere in Africa, that's going to be a massive challenge because it's not fit for purpose. So, so the interesting relationship between academia and the research and sort of innovation there with the commercial sector is to develop technologies which are actually fit for purpose.
I see. That's fantastic. Richard, so I think maybe someone didn't hear you right, or maybe didn't hear you well, or missed the point. What is the function of the solar system or solar panel in that model you presented in Ghana?
Yeah, the function is to power the pumps. We have 2 pumps that we operate on the system. One of the pump is pumping the organic waste from food waste, organic waste. So it pumps down into the digester. Then the second one is pumping the fecal sludge from the septic tank into the digester. So we use the solar panel to provide energy for those pumps.
So I'm going to ask you a strange question, maybe not strange question. So right now, I would imagine that these solar panels is to generate energy to power the pump to move the fecal sludge into the digester. My question is, if it starts functioning, is there an opportunity for the gas generated to power a generator to power a pump that does that push, that doesn't require solar energy anymore? Is that a possibility?
Yeah, there's a possibility.
Okay, so it can become like a cycle where the gas generated is used to actually power the pumping itself in the first place without the need for solar. Is that correct?
Yes. But the issue is that the initial stage is that you have not yet generated the gas. You need to pump into you need some energy to pump the material into the digester. So the solar panel will do that. So the moment you start generating enough gas, then you can reverse the order where you can use the gas to generate electricity and then pump
Yes. So Keck, I see your up. Any comment, Keck, on that?
Yeah, I think there are a number of issues here, but one is if you're producing energy that's actually sustaining the digester, it means that actually you're not able to use that power for things that you might need, like lighting or cooking or running your TV so you can watch Netflix or whatever it is. So the beautiful thing about the hybrid system, and this is what Richard's developed at the school, is that you're using free energy from the sunlight to augment the power generation within the anaerobic digester to make it work, rather than it being almost like a sealed system where the energy is only making the thing work and that's all it's doing.
Oh, I see. So, Keck, could you also comment? This is a very interesting point you raised. So, guys, it's about the innovation component. So, Richard's design is thinking, wait a minute, we can actually get anything from solar to do part of the work. So, myself and Keck were at Babcock University just yesterday, and in their plan, they were going to use a different kind of energy for the pump. Keck, can you comment on that? It has to do with gravity. Can you comment on that?
Yeah, so I mean, it's an interesting plant because it's actually built on a slope. The waste is not pumped, it's gravity fed from the campus to the anaerobic digestion facility. So that's free energy, of course, isn't it? You're just relying on gravity to move it.
In gravity. But yeah. Go. Sorry, I apologize. Go on.
No. You go on.
No, I was going to say that because that's quite interesting, because the location in this particular case was on a slope, and so the design incorporated using the slope and gravity to drive the pumping of the waste to the end. My point is, what I make is, it involves some thinking and creativity for the innovation specific to the area. So, for example, the Nigerian team told you they were using abattoir waste because there's a lot of abattoir. So basically, it has to be fit for purpose, taking cognizance of the available feedstock in the area. There's no need to put up a digester where you are going to have trouble feeding the digester with the requirement of waste needed for it to function. So, Andrew, I'm coming to you now. And the question is, how do NGOs key into these numerous projects? How can NGOs leverage on grants, or how can NGOs be used or partnered with, in a sense, to enhance the impact of this project for community service? Andrew.
All right, yeah, that's very key, and it's part of what we have been doing. The engagement that we have been doing. The first one I mentioned, PIN, is partnership for partnership initiative for Niger Delta. They're actually an NGO, and what they do is essentially advocacy. So those are the people that can help get the message to the communities, the people that need the solution. So they can be involved in all of that, and in a sense, because of the way some of these NGOs function, they can have access to funds, and when they partner with the researchers, then that can make it very easy for your research to be done. Because one of the things that we have found out is the capacity to actually access research grants is limited on the side of the researcher. So if you do that level of collaboration with people that have access to the funds, and you can have access, you can, as a researcher, cannot have access to the fund to do your research, then that makes it very, very, very positive.
That takes to another question, Andrew, a follow-up question to that question. So I would imagine that there was a big, because at the end of your presentation, you showed this big element of engagement with communities and students and so on. Do you reckon that is a good job for NGOs to do within the mix? Because they seem to be much better at those kinds of engagement that maybe a professor or researcher might not be. What do you think?
Yeah, you're very correct. That's why we were very deliberate in the stakeholders that we selected. So the NGOs are actually very much more suited for this whole engagement and advocacy. So we always incorporate them in all of the engagements that we do. So those guys, they come from Delta State to Benin. And when we are doing those outreach programs, we usually get a whole of, like I said, one of the key things that we get from them is knowledge exchange. So they're actually very, very key. So they are more suited for that kind of work.
You're on mute, Akan.
Okay, were you going to make a comment before we move into the Mentimeter section?
Yeah, just quickly about the question around NGO. Okay, so I'm just going to highlight the example that we have within the ACTUATE project, where the Hatov Foundation have been very, very committed to bringing the ACTUATE project to government level and government acknowledgement in Ghana. And of course, that's been fantastic, because ultimately we were invited to join the African Pavilion with the Ghanaian government at COP26 a couple of weeks ago to highlight issues relating to waste energy and leveraging funding to support such activities. So yeah, it can go in lots of different ways. You're on mute.
A few more questions, I think, which we can maybe move to the Mentimeter section. Many has come through. So, by the way, students, if you have any problems with downloading the materials or the webinars, please indicate that when you do fill in the final questionnaire at the end of the day. But ultimately, we would also make this available on the WhatsApp group. So, Alan is going to post all the PowerPoints and the video on the student WhatsApp group as well. So those who can get access to it here on the Teams call can get access to it on the WhatsApp group. So Alan will do that as soon as possible. So now we're going to move into a simple interaction with the students through Mentimeters. So just like before, look at the chat section in this meeting, and you see a series of questions. If you click on them, they would pop up, and you respond to them. Let's get a feel for the room. Please, don't worry, we are wrapping up shortly. Thanks for your patience so far. Okay, so there are fresh questions put on the chat section. Click on one and then respond to it. I would watch the live feeds on the meeting room. Okay. I want to thank our experts in the room. I can see Feli Tusime, a top executive in Uganda, and an environmental specialist in the call. Thank you so much for joining the call. If there's anybody else I cannot see, I appreciate your presence and thanks for the support in helping the students as they fine-tune their moves towards the circular economy space in Africa. So there's an overwhelming yes to would you recommend a waste to energy plant in your university? Overwhelming yes. I was hoping I would see somebody who would say no, and I would be very happy to ask them why they said no. So that's good to see. Everyone likes the idea of a waste energy plant in their university. Question 2, please. And question 2 is, a waste energy plant set up within a school or university provides opportunity for managed waste. Okay, yes, so let me see the question. So question 2, good. So, and the question is, just like you had in the first question, what are you thinking is your preference as to the need for setting this up within the university? Is it waste management, energy generation, or employability skills? Now, this will be fascinating to see. Why do you think a waste energy plant should be set up in your university? Is it because of waste management, energy generation, or practical employability skills for the students? Because you'll be amazed how much you can learn practically if you had a waste energy plant on campus where your courses are being taught using that as a practical example. So, Kek, are you seeing what I'm saying? This is interesting. I would have thought the practical skills should be the top of the list. What is going on here?
Yes, it's a valid question, and I really don't know what the answer is, Akan.
to be honest, I mean, the theory makes sense because a student might tell you, maybe we should ask the students. So is there any student in the room who chose waste management? Could you tell us why you chose? And if you can chat in the room, leave a chat in the chat section and I'll pick it up. Why have you chosen waste management? I know it's all three Cabasso, but this is actually like a systemic question to get a feel as to what people are thinking. So people have, Benjamin is choosing energy generation. Otibe has energy generation. So I'm wondering, why have people chosen less of practical employability skills? Is it because they haven't seen the relationship between a waste management plant and practical employability skills? Is that the reason? So Richard, can you come in this way? Why do you think there's a little lap or gap in the choice for practical employability skills from your perspective? Richard?
I think for employability skill, the students in their perspective, maybe they might not be thinking that biogas system is an area that they wanted to venture into and then get a job and try to practice. You see, if you listen to our lady from Nigeria, where she was 13, you see, she was motivated to go into that area, and she's doing very well in that area.
That's right.
So it's like the students have to see that there is something that you can achieve when you go into that area as a full-time work or as but I don't think they are looking at that. So all that they are thinking of is you can use it to manage waste, but not them actually managing that facility. No, they are not. They don't want to manage the facility.
So okay, yes, Andrew, please. What are you thinking, please, Andrew?
I think is in two ways. Kek already mentioned this. the answers might be individual, not necessarily global. Like what is the thing that is like that's more more important to them as an individual? So majority of these people, they see probably they experience power outages, so they want something that can fill that gap. Yeah, and on the other hand, with respect to employability, going into a career in this field, you probably have to do that as an entrepreneur. But majority of these guys, as they're in school, they are looking into corporate employment. They want to graduate and work for someone. So they have not really linked how you can do this, and become an entrepreneur. So I think that's where the gap is.
I think that's a really good point, actually, Andrew, is the fact that maybe if we reframe the question and said, maybe like setting up your own business, but using the waste management plan as an example or basis to do that, maybe we might have gotten the different response. But the question is employability skills. And it feels like in this area, you need to set up your own business, because in the first place, there are very few enterprises that convert waste to energy in the first place. So I think I absolutely agree with your point. That makes so much sense. But I guess in the sense, the fact that they can actually see an interest within it for them, I think for me is absolutely fascinating and very, very interesting. Okay, are there any other questions in the room before we wrap it up? So let's see. Accumulation of waste, generation, people are responding positively. And by the way, the webinar doesn't end here. There is the WhatsApp group. So if there are any questions that hasn't been responded to on here, I'm begging you, pop it in the WhatsApp chat and somebody will respond to it. Richard, Nina, and Andrew are on the WhatsApp group. Kirk is on the WhatsApp group, even though I know it's very, very busy. But my point is, don't stop here. If maybe after the webinar, that question now comes to your mind, don't think, oh my goodness, I missed my chance. No, you haven't. There is a WhatsApp group that is going to remain for the next couple of weeks. You can always pop in your question in the group and somebody will respond to it. Alan has now put all the presentations on the WhatsApp group. If you check it out, they are all there, so you can download. If there are no other questions, I'm going to call on Kirk as a final wrap up to give us a feel as to how you thought that today went. And for everybody listening to me, look at the chat section. You see the link. It's a simple link. Everybody click on that link, fill a very short questionnaire, and then incorporate or include how you want your name to be shown on the certificate that will be issued to everybody at the end of the 1 month program. Don't forget to do that. Look at the chat, and Alan has dropped a link. And on that note, I'll call on Kirk to wrap this up. Over to you, boss.
So thanks, Akan. So first of all, I'd like to thank all of the presenters for the fantastic presentations. And actually, this has been the first real hassle-free webinar, in terms of connectivity.
That's true.
And the fact is that Akan and I are doing this from Nigeria. It's amazing. So well done, everyone, and really proud of the effort that you put into your presentations. Obviously, I'd like to thank you, Akan, for your fantastic performance as ever in making this thing flow so smoothly. But I would really, really like to thank everyone, all the students who turned up and made this I think one of our most engaging webinars that that we've experienced over the last sort of 14 or 15 months.
That's a fact.
The quality and the depth of the questions has been absolutely staggering. Whether you're an expert or not, and it just highlights there are no bad questions, okay? Because we're all coming at this from such different perspectives. So thanks very much, everyone, for that. For me, it's been really exciting. It's been really interesting. I look forward to continuing the conversation on WhatsApp beyond this webinar, of course. As Akan's rightly said, keep the questions coming, keep the comments coming. This is a really important activity for the ACTUATE project, because it gives us an entirely new sense from the student population, not the sort of professional stakeholder population, the student population. And believe it or not, guys, you are the most important here, because you are the change makers. It's not old fuddy-duddies from academia like me that are going to make any difference here. It's you guys. So keep at it, keep the faith, and keep working on it. Thank you very much, everyone. Back to you, Akan.
So, ladies and gentlemen, the intention was to understand who was attending the webinar. So the link would not be posted on a WhatsApp group. For the others who couldn't join the webinar, we would find a way to engage them separately. But it was important for us to understand and know the folks who joined the webinar. And so the link will be left on the Teams chat section. But we'll have a conversation with you afterwards on how to collate how your name should be showcased at the end of the webinar. Are you following me? At the end of the program. Thanks everyone for an incredible session. Thanks for the engagement. Thank you to Alan and Samuel. You guys have been fantastic. Thanks to Kirk. Thank you to Andrew, Richard, and Nina. And I have been Dr. Akanimo Odon, my humble self, and your pilot. On that note, have a lovely day and a gorgeous week. Bye-bye.
Bye, everyone.